Good morning. My name is Abdul Sowayan, and this is my colleague, John Cowles. We're really glad to have you here with us in Miami. Today, the topic is 5 things to know to go mobile on Appian. But before I start, I want to show you a very brief video.
Look familiar? You know you have kids that do it.
So let me mute this. So this is my son. His name is Adam. He's 4 years old. And what's interesting here is this is a kid. I mean, he's only 4. He hasn't received, he doesn't read. He hasn't received any training, but he's able to take my phone, go to the park, play his favorite game, which is Pokemon Go. And he can do this because iOS and Pokemon Go is so intuitive, it's so easy, it's so walk-up usable that you don't need to train someone. A 4-year-old can navigate it and can play with it happily. We're not suggesting here that we want to bring down the level of experience to a 4-year-old, but we want to embody, or the values that we embody at Appian is that we want your applications, your interfaces to be beautiful, engaging to the users. We want them to be easy to use, walk-up usable, no training required. We want to enable you to build powerful, flexible applications that evolve with time. So those are the values that we embody. And if you look at Appian sites, this is an example of an Appian site. You can see the selected tab over here, where basically adding a new customer to the bank. The icon shows you, look, there's an iconic representation that conveys that concept, that you're adding a new user. The text on the tab says, new customer. And everything in the interface conveys to the user the purpose with zero training overhead. So you can see there is a milestone on the top left that tells the user where they are in that process. Every field in here is self-describing so that the user would know what to do without receiving any additional training. So the topic for today, 5 things to know to go mobile on Appian. First, we want to share with you what's new with the mobile applications that we have. Second, we want to show you how easy it is to develop a mobile application with our tools. Third, we want to show you how to brand those applications to match your corporate identity. And finally, we're going to be talking about security and enterprise mobility management and going beyond the physical mobile device. So, what's new with Appian for mobile? Over the last few months, we've been working on something very big. Normally, we don't talk about software that we haven't released or about to release. But we're so proud of this that we're going to make an exception. We're going to show you early on the things that we've been working on. And basically, we are completely and totally overhauling the mobile user experience. If you can look here at the slide, it just conveys to you how beautiful it is. You can have a billboard with a beautiful overlay. We support now leveraging the real estate on tablets. So you can see here at the bottom, multiple columns where you can leverage the real estate on the devices. You can segregate information in boxes to draw users' attentions to it. Basically, we're bringing the full power of sail to the mobile devices. Everything you heard here in the conference, whether it's cards, whether it's controlling the column widths, all these features are available in the new mobile application. You can see here, we have a more dense grids, and you can highlight inside the grids with rich text colors information that you want to draw the user's attention to it. So you can color it red, you can color it green, you can color it any color you want with the 18.2 release. So we're launching a beta, as you saw in the keynote. It's available for you today on iOS and Android. So as we hear your feedback, we'd like to incorporate it into the app before we do the final release of it. And basically, if you use the app, it will, when there's an update available, you'll see a prompt like this saying, hey, you can download the latest and greatest of this app all over the air. You can install this application side by side with your production app so that you don't have any disruption. You can provide us feedback from within the app. We want to make it very easy for you to provide feedback. So as you look into the slide app menu, there's an icon there, their button, basically where you click on it, you can provide the feedback, you can attach images and share it with us, and we can correspond with you from within the application, or you can file support requests with us as well. So to sign up for the beta, a few things you need to know. To gain that modern user experience, you need to be on 18.1, the latest hotfix, package A. If you don't have it and download the app, it will still work, but it will fall back into what you have currently in the production applications. It currently today supports Tempo. We're bringing sites soon over an over-the-air update. So if you are interested in this, please email us at mobile@appian.com. Let us know if you're interested in Android or iOS or both, and we'll make it available for you.
All right. So did you guys go see that John Foley thing today? I hope so. So that, I got to be honest, that was one of my favorite because I'm a huge Top Gun fan. And the whole living on the edge thing, you know what, I'm about to do it right now, and it's called demos, live demo. So bear with me. These are always scary, but hopefully what we're trying to do here is we want to show you how easy this can be. And has anybody built mobile apps so far in Appian? Got a few hands? All right, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to take you through a simple example, but hopefully convey it and inspire you guys to give more, this a shot on your own. So let me step through. Before we do it, quick context. I don't think this is anything that anyone doesn't know, but I want to set the tone for the demo. There is so much demand for mobile apps. You saw little kids are using it. My parents even are using it, which is shocking. But there's a huge demand, and the number of resources that you have out there is not really equal to that demand, right? So you have a gap in your capacity for traditional mobile app dev. So this is a quote from Gartner, and they basically said the same thing, is there's a much more demand than capacity. The other thing, numbers. So this is from a pretty widely known industry mobile service provider or app builder that provide these numbers. The right side here is awfully detailed, and you don't need to look at that, but I want you to focus on the left side. The left side basically says traditional mobile app development is expensive. Now this is not showing the whole picture though. This is only showing the actual build. And all of you that have applications of any kind know there's a build, there's a maintenance, there's a refactor, there's all these different things that you need to take into account. And so keep that in mind, keep that number in mind when we go through this next example. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a scenario. Joe is a home inspector. He's going to be Joe.
I'm Joe.
And Joe's basically going out to homes and he's writing up these home inspections manually. Then he's going back to his office and he's having to do it, convert it over to digital. So really inefficient, really time consuming. So we're going to try to help Joe out. So here's the danger zone part. We have an app here. And this app, I've taken the time to build some basic structure to it. So it's got some folder structures and some of those things. But what we're going to do is we're going to actually build a simple mobile app live in front of you right now. So we'll start with, we have an empty interface. We're using the drag and drop capability you've probably seen already. I'm going to drag on a form. And in that form, we're going to call it home inspection. So now we have home inspection. Now I'm going to take on, and I want two different sections. I want to know, what's the basic information about the request, and then I want to capture some results. So let's start by dragging in a section. And I'm going to take a second section in. And then we'll start configuring the first section. The first one we're going to call, let's call it request info. And I know I want a handful of pieces of information. I want to structure them a little bit, make them look nice. So I'm going to drag in columns. And when I drag in columns, notice it gives me 3 defaults, which is really cool. But I can add more. I can just simply use this click if I want to add more. In my case, I don't want 3, I want 2. So I'm going to take it down by that simple trash can icon. I'm going to drag my text in. And this first text field, we're going to call this requested by. Now, one of the things we also did for simplicity of time is I spent about 2 minutes, set up some rule inputs, nothing major here. But for transparency, I wanted you guys to know that that's the case. So I'm going to map these. And we'll call this requested by, and we'll go from there. So we have our first field, very quick. Our second field, let's do a date. And we'll call this inspection date. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to map these. And I'm going to run through a few more of these, and you'll get the idea. And then we'll do, how about we do a drop down. And in this drop down here, we're going to call this inspection type. And let's change some values. So let's do doom and gloom. So we're going to go mold and water damage, right? Nobody, that's like words nobody ever wants to hear if they own a home. And so let's do that. And now obviously you can add much more if you wanted to. On the right side here, we're going to actually take advantage of one of our capabilities we just added. So I'm going to bring in, let me get it over here, the text field, but we're going to do street address, city, and zip code. Now there's a new context menu. If you haven't seen this yet, you can duplicate and delete right here. So I can either do with this menu or I can do a shortcut. So in this case, I'm going to do the first one with that, and then I'm going to add a second one with a shortcut. So if you had a lot of fields, you can just dupe, 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 and it works really quick. And then we're here, we're going to call this street address. Oop. We'll do some mapping. And we'll move on quickly. And so I'm going to configure these real quick. I appreciate the patience, but you'll see why we're doing this. Has anybody played with the drag and drop yet in any of the booths? Do you like it? Yeah, you can see I was a former Excel guy and expression guy, but this is definitely making my life easier. Zip code, okay. Now on the bottom half here, as I finish off this configuration, we're going to do some the results information. And we'll get that going. So let's drag in the columns here. We're going to do this again real quick. We'll make it 2. And we're just going to capture a few different things. We're going to capture the first thing everybody wants to know is notes. All right, if you're walking around, you're going to take notes as you go. And so let's drag in a paragraph box. Yep, I put it in the wrong place. I'm going to take it back in there. And we'll call this notes. And almost there. And then the last 2 fields we're going to use is file upload. So a lot of times people take pictures, right? They want to know, okay, I just saw this water damage or I just saw this mold. Where was it at? So let's drag in the file upload. I'm going to do a Control D for another one that we want to add. And we'll call this first one Home Images. Now in this case, the target folder we actually do have as a constant, so I need to map that constant. So I'm going to quickly do that. And we'll get that going. And then we're going to map our variables and then do one more. Oop, one more after that. And then the last one here, we'll configure this as a signature. Because everybody needs to sign off that they did the work. And we'll get this going here. All right. Okay, so we have our final mapping, and good. So we've got this going. I can actually take advantage of, there's some features that we have something called preview mode. And so I can switch over to preview mode, take a look at it, looks great. I can switch over, for those who haven't seen it yet, we have these form factors. So if I want to see what it's going to look like on the tablet, I can take a look at that. If I want to see what it's going to look like on a mobile phone, I can do that. In this case, I'm going to save it, and I have what I want. But I really want to make this into a mobile app, so I'm going to take advantage of a shortcut that we have here. So if you do a save as and do application, I'm going to take the defaults, and I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Now I'm going to close this interface out, and then I'm going to refresh here. Notice it built the process model for me. It tied the action, the interface to the process model, created an action behind the scenes. I can actually go look at this in Tempo right now and work with it, but I want to actually use it in Site. And so I'm going to do a site creation real quick here. Has anybody built sites? You guys all using sites? Yeah? I'm sorry. Sorry, what was that, Marcel? Oh, yeah, you know what? I should actually fix that, because that's going to be important later. Thank you for that. Inspection. All right, and I actually got to fix it here as well. See, live demo, danger zone, I told you. All right, so we have our site initial. So let's go ahead and our page, and in this case, we'll call it new inspection. And then we're going to do an icon. So the icon picker, plus sign is a pretty common one. We have our action and home inspection. So now we have our page defined. I'm going to add one more page just for simplicity, or to kind of give the feel for a full site. We'll call this analysis. And we'll put in maybe a graph icon, a report, and we'll do a blank report. All right, so not only does sites allow you to have that simple interface, but you can also brand it. This is a popular feature. So I'm going to just do a couple small things here, and we'll brand this. Let me change this maybe to pencil view. And how about we do cayenne? And we'll switch the background color to tin. I'm going to save it. Now I can preview it right here if I just went and looked at it. And we have, as soon as it pulls up here, it's loading. Here we go. So I can see my site in the web, but it's what we really wanted is in the mobile side. Well, I didn't actually do anything else from a mobile perspective. And I'm going to actually let Abdul, or AKA Joe, should take over from here.
All right, so now, as he mentioned, like you didn't do anything, and it's immediately available for you on the mobile phone. So now here, like we see the form, we're going to populate those fields. So the DOE is requested by, the inspection date is now,
Okay.
and I'm going to just put an address here, 1955, Appian Drive, and we're going to go glance over those are not required fields, so I'm going to leave them empty for now. And I'm going to come here, and I'm going to upload an image of the home, the damage on the home. So now we're not in the home, so I'm going to pick the most photogenic person in the audience. Let's see. It must be John here. All right. So I'm going to use this photo. I'm going to change the inspection type to, it looks like you have a mold on your head.
That's cold.
There we go.
I don't know what that even means, but all right.
So, and I'm going to come here, and I'm going to sign that actually I did the inspection. So here we go. And then I'm going to submit the form. And you can see that it's that easy to bring a mobile application to Appian.
All right. So are we good, Joe? We can put this in production. We ready?
All right. So I think there are a couple of things I'd like to have. Thinking about it, I go and inspect a lot of homes, and sometimes they're in remote areas. They don't have any internet connectivity. So I would like to be able to do my work offline.
Okay.
So that's number one. Number two, actually we send some promotional coupons to customers.
Okay.
And when we go and do the inspection, if they have those the promotional coupons that have a barcode, I would like to be able to scan it from the mobile device so they can get that promotional discount.
Gotcha.
But in my case, normally I would like only that field to be available just on the mobile device for scanning the barcode,
Okay.
not on the web.
All right. Anybody know how to do offline? I'm going to show you. Offline. We're done. That's it. Now the second thing he mentioned was a barcode. Let's take the barcode here and let's drop it here. And we're going to call this discount code. And let's go ahead and map this. Okay, so we've got our code added. The one thing he did mention at the end there was he only wants it to show on a mobile device. It doesn't really make sense if you're in the office translating, the old inspection forms over, because you're not going to have a coupon code. The customers have those. So we're going to actually take advantage of this visibility and say only show when. And I'm going to add a simple condition. So I'm going to add an or statement, and I'm going to just type in is native phone, is native tablet. That is it. Notice how the field is currently highlighted right here. As soon as I hit OK, it's not there. I'm going to go to preview mode and just make sure things are working right. When I go to my tablet, I have my field there. When I go to my phone, I have my field at the bottom here. So I'm going to save, and I'm going to hand it back to Joe and see what he's got.
So now, I have this form. What I'm going to do is I'm going to simulate going into airplane mode, so to go offline. and I immediately see that there's a banner on top that says, look, I don't have any more connectivity. So we'll go through the same exercise again here. So John Doe. And put in the date. I still have access to everything else. Like, for example, I can upload a photo, and this time of Marcelo here.
Marcel is the man.
I can now, like, I have a field to upload, like, to scan the barcode. So here I have a book, and you can see, like, this is like actually live on the mobile device, like processing, so trying to scan for barcodes. So if I come here on
The light. It's dark in here.
It's dark. Okay, so there we go. So it scanned it. And then when I submit the form when I'm offline, I see that on the top left, there's a badge that says, look, there's one offline form that's queued for submission. So I can come here, I can go into my pending actions, and this is the inspection I just did. And I'm going to come here. I can also make edits before, like if I wanted to, before actually it goes all the way through when I get connected. So I'm going to here set the inspection mode to the inspection type to mold, and I'm going to finish. Oops. So I'm running on the beta, living on the bleeding edge.
Danger zone, baby. Danger zone.
So now I submitted two forms. I'm going to go back online. And what I'm going to see is so in the background, like when I have connectivity, my form like tries to connect and submit. So that's all there is to it.
All right. Let me close some of these out. So are we good now? Any questions?
So, question for you, Joe. What happens?
You're Joe, by the way.
I'm Joe.
You're
That's
Joe.
true. So, what happens if I go in the field? I queued a lot of forms for submission, and suddenly, like, you make a change to that application. Like, do I lose my work?
Okay. So if you have in-flight changes as you're working in the field, gotcha. So we'll simulate that and see what happens. So I'm going to actually jump back in the interface real quick, do one small change. All I'm going to do is let's make this a required field for notes. And I'm going to give him a second to simulate this because he's going to kick off another offline request so we can get in the scenario. So you tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
And let's go. So I'm going to save. Oh, there we go.
Did you save it?
It's saved. So this is an important feature for those people doing offline. You got to make sure you understand how it's going to behave when you're making these changes.
Actually, did you already make the change?
I did. Refresh.
Can we go back? I didn't queue the submission yet.
Say it again.
Can you actually roll back that change?
I certainly can.
So what we're going to do here first is we are going to submit that form, and then he's going to make the change.
Let's do a simple.
Yeah. So we're going to do a simple one here, John Doe.
And submit.
And, oops. Actually, I need to go offline first. So we're going to go offline. Oops. No Wi-Fi.
All right, now we're ready. Let's go.
So now my form is queued. So now I'm going to go online, and we're going to see that, like, since he made that change to make the field required, we'll see what happens. So it tells me, like, gives me an exclamation mark that there has been a change to the form that, like, I need as a user to go look, pay attention, and see actually, like, what I need to reconcile the differences with. So when I come here, it tells me that basically review the form. There has been changes. So when I click here, I can see the before and after of the form and make whatever modifications I need to do before submitting that form. So here he made the notes section required. So there is extensive Image. And then I can submit. It's that easy.
Okay. So we've got it submitted. I'm going to show you one other thing you've probably heard about, but I'm not sure you've actually seen yet, is this monitoring up top. What this monitoring is, so the old designer interface, they moved a lot of it over into the modern design interface, and this is one of those areas. So we can actually see the different submissions that he's already put in. The other thing we can do is we can actually look at, just to kind of show you, if we want to look at the doc folder, and let's see if we have some of these images in here. So there's the signature. I want to see Marcelo up and personal. We don't want that one. That one's me. Either way, we'll move on. The idea behind that, though, is you can get the information, you get it quickly, you can build your actions, you can do all those kinds of things. So if we go back to this deck real quick, what did we just do? We built an interface, we created an action, we add that action to a site, we branded the site, and then we did kind of what a real-world scenario is, which is you're not going to get it right the first time. You're going to have tweaks. You're going to have it evolving. That kind of stuff is going to have to happen. And then we also took advantage of some of the mobile-first capabilities that you saw. So the offline, the barcode, the signature, and the mobile awareness. So the result, if you remember that first slide, or the second slide, I should say, in this section, which was $25,000 to $40,000 or up to $750,000. I wish I got paid that for the last 20 minutes. It didn't happen that way. But we built something in about 20 minutes that we evolved, and that basically we're making our customers happy with. And it saved all kinds of time and money. So hopefully you guys will take advantage of this and get some of that. There's a couple things here. These are just some examples. There's 2 examples here, but there's best practice documentation out there. And in this case, we're using one of the mobile first features, and it's the offline. Offline, you're offline. Don't build a form that's actually dynamic and needs the online type capability. So that's something to keep in mind, and you can look for more detail in the doc. And then here's an example of one that, so in barcodes, in a lot of products, they actually have barcodes close to each other, and they're different types. And so you want to start thinking of those things. And in this case, you can actually pick the specific type you want to scan and avoid. So on the example on the right here, you can see there's 2 different barcode types. Well, to avoid false positives, declare what you want, and that'll make it easier. So it's another example. There's more. Definitely check out the documentation. So
how about you play the role of Joe right now?
All right. So if
Joe,
I was,
you got this application, now you've used it. Yeah. Are you happy?
So I'm good to go, but I'd like to make it my own. I'd like to have some identity that shows it's our company, not another vendor, not another company like that. What can we do?
All right. So let me talk to you about how you can brand the mobile application to fit your corporate identity. So this is an example of there are 2 apps over there. One is Appian, the other one is by University of South Florida. What they have in common is that they're both the Appian mobile application. One is branded for USF. What you can see here is that you can brand the icon to match your own corporate identity. You can change the name of the application as well. You can, within the app, you can customize the app branding, the logos. You can also hard code the URL so users don't have to remember which URL to enter to reach your site. And you can distribute the app, like in the App Store, like the iOS App Store, the Android App Store. You can distribute it via like MDM or Enterprise Mobility Management. So if you look up Archivum by USF in the App Store, you'll find it and you'll be able to download it. And with sites, we allow you to do dynamic branding on the fly. So what you can see here is at the bottom, you can put, for each site, your own logos that match your corporate identity. You can control the branding and the theming. So you can control the navigation color, you can control the tabs, the selected height, the selected tab color, and you can control the icons and the names of the tabs as well.
All right.
Does that make you happy, Joe?
It's good. What about security?
Excellent question. So let's talk about that next. So when you're talking about security, like Joe, you can't just think about just the security of the mobile device. Mm-hmm. To achieve security, you have to think at the totality of the whole platform. You have to secure the whole platform. And this is where Appian really shines. We have a lot of certifications in that area. For example, like PCI, payment credit card industry, FDA, FedRAMP, which is required for government agencies to go on the cloud. But Everything changes in this world and everything evolves. So these certifications and these audits, their requirements changes with time and evolve. And by using Appian Cloud, we do that hard work so you can concentrate on your value add to the customer and we keep you secure. Also, the mobile applications as well, aside from the certifications that you just saw, we also, every mobile release, we partnered with a leading firm in mobile security. It's called Barcode. Every mobile release goes by an audit and a certification process before we release it. So a few months ago, probably around January, you might have seen something like this. Basically, every chip in the world, on mobile devices, laptops, desktops, the cloud, is vulnerable to the Spectre and Meltdown vulnerabilities. So you wake up with something like this and say, all right, we hear subsequently that there were software patches that got applied to all mobile devices, but how do you prevent vulnerable devices from connecting to your enterprise environment? So in the admin console in Appian, we actually give you settings to do this. So you can control the minimum software version that's allowed to connect to your environment. So in this particular case, iOS 11.3 has been patched, and you can prevent anyone from, say, iOS 10 or iOS 11.1 from connecting to your environment with a message that tells them, please upgrade. Also, the mobile applications use the best-of-breed security. You don't have to worry about it, but every connection is secure with TLS and HTTPS. The files that I showed you in the offline demo that are stored, they are encrypted in the container and storage. We also allow you to, in addition, to have a passcode lock on the mobile application. So when someone uses it, they enter the passcode lock, and if they enter it a few times and they keep getting it wrong, the whole application gets wiped totally from the device, and you start with a blank account with nothing in the application sandbox. So finally, trip back to memory lane, back into the 90s. It used to be that enterprises, your IT shop, controlled the total experience of connecting to your corporate infrastructure. They issued you the device. They controlled what you can do with the device, what you can install on it. That completely changed with the introduction of the iPhone in 2008. Now people have strong affinity to their particular devices. They have taste, well, I'd like to have an iPhone 10 or the latest Android device, and I don't want, basically your users don't want to be told, hey, this is the device that you use to do work, and people don't want to connect to two, have two devices, one for work, one for personal use. So how do you deal with this as an enterprise? So you can do this with enterprise mobility management. The idea here is that you segregate. Instead of controlling everything about the device and lock it down, what you do is that you control just the applications that your enterprise uses, and you segregate them from the personal applications that, for example, my son's Pokemon Go. So then you enforce the policies on just your applications. You can do a lot of interesting things. I'm just giving you a few highlights here. You can prevent the application from working if the user has jailbroke their device. You can do a remote lock of the application, or you can do a remote wipe of everything in that application. You can do additional encryption on storage and communication channels. You can have, there are interesting cases here. You can monitor the traffic that's used for work purposes, and you can reimburse your employees only for the portion of the bill that they used to do work versus their personal usage. So I'm glad to let you know that this is available for iOS and Android. We've partnered with a leading company in that area. It's BlackBerry. They used to be called Good before it got acquired by BlackBerry.
All right. Good news. The cheesy role play is over. We're done with that. Let's move on. So we've been talking to this point about your mobile device. And when people think mobile devices, they primarily think of Android, iOS, that kind of thing. What I want to do is actually get you guys thinking a little bit more than just that. And so if you were here last year, you saw I did actually a personal integration with Alexa. We had a partner do one and others. Well, there's more devices and there's more ways to interact with Appian, whether it's through the web APIs or different approaches. So you can, whether it's an Android watch, whether it's a voice control device, you saw Google Home in the presentation earlier, it's becoming very popular, or monitor devices. Anybody have a guess at the top right what that is? No, I would guess not. I had no idea. It's called a tsunameter. Now, a tsunameter measures tsunamis. It measures water pressure at the bottom of the ocean, relays signals up to a buoy. The buoy sends it to a satellite and over to a monitoring station. Why not hook Appian up to that? Why not send, alerts, or whether it's communication or whether it's tasks, or oh my goodness, somebody better get on this and start taking some action. Those are the kinds of things you can do. Or whether it's a car that's, hey, we need to do, for example, I don't know if some of you may get notified when you need an oil change, or when a service light goes on, the car knows, it sends a signal to the dealer calls you and says, hey, let's schedule service. Those are things you can do. And with web APIs on the integration side of our house, which we're not really digging into today, it's up to you how you want to take advantage of these things. But start thinking bigger than just your phone or your tablet. It's much more than that. Here's an example of, for some of you who have been to Appian's headquarters, in the engineering floor, there's a button, just like this on the left, that's taped to the wall. That button means free food. People hit the button, it takes a picture of the counter where the food is put, it sends that up to a news feed and to some SMS messages and some other things, and you see the whole engineering floor swarm the kitchen. They want pizza, they want cookies, any of the conferences we have, so it's first come, first serve, so there's definitely a beeline for it. But that's a use case. It's an IoT scenario where, and some of you may have attended the workshop earlier, I hope on Monday, and they showed some other stuff like that. So to wrap it up, mobile has changed. It's an overhauled experience. Please check out the beta, that kind of stuff. It's easy. Hopefully you saw that it was easy. We spent 20 minutes, we built something that may seem like a small app, but I'm sure most of you have small apps like that in your organization. You started maybe with a big one, but now you get these little piecemeal things over and over. Those are the things that you want to actually start looking at. Can I make their lives easier? Cost effective, I don't think I need to say anymore. Don't spend the $750,000 to take the traditional approach and then have to pay more money for the additional maintenance of it. And then basically we have great security. It can be branded. And it goes beyond that. So the final takeaway for you guys, sign up for the mobile beta, build your own. We'd love to see it. Send us emails, send us texts, whatever it is. I'd love to see what you guys are doing. I'm sure Abdul would as well. And then there is the IoT. If you haven't seen it and you want to play around with it, there's an IoT app on the marketplace. I'd encourage you guys to take a look, have some fun, see how creative you can get. And again, share that as well. Love to see it. So with that, we thank you. I appreciate you not going over there and hanging with us. And we'll be up here if you want to ask any questions or whatever you'd like to learn more about. Thank you, guys.